housekeeping. So we'll ask everyone to stay mute until we ask you to unmute. If you've got a question, we'll at the start, we like to generally just go over a little bit about what the QMS is about and bring each of the influencers in who is going to have something to say on it, and then at the end we'll sort of open it up. We expect to get at least an hour of question time in tonight. Most of the people in here will probably have already heard what the QMS is all about, or at least had a look at the website. So we'll try and keep that part of the evening brief. We do have apologies from Wayne Glue. He will possibly join us later in the evening. He's had unexpected guests drop in for dinner, and he's a little bit, I think he's a couple of hours behind the time frame here in Melbourne. So he said after dinner he'll try to drop in. I'm not sure if Tim's coming tonight. He was unable to make an earlier meeting today, and I just haven't been able to check with him. But when he comes in, I know Graham's in the meeting. Karen's here. She's working away in the background along with Penny, letting people in, I hope. And they'll questions come up in the forum. They'll try to answer them in the forum where they can. But if they think it's something that should be asked out on the site, on the meeting, sorry, they'll ask you to sort of wait and put your hand up. And again, at the end, when we get to the question time, if everyone could put their hand up, there is a little button on the screen. I think it's, I'm just checking, I think it's under reactions where you can put a hand up, i.e. raise your hand under reactions. And that'll let us know that you've got a question for the team. And if it's a specific person in the team that you'd like to ask the question of, if you could just ask it specifically, like mention your name up front and say who you'd like to answer. We may, several of us may have answer to one question, just depending on what the questions are. Aside from that, yeah, I'll start explaining what the QMS is. Sorry, I'm just watching people still come in, so that's why I feel a little distracted. Okay, the QMS is the Quantum Management System. It's a referendum tool. It's a people's voting application that we can use to determine the policies that we put forth as a people, and then we will test and measure as the people. So volunteers will come in and test and measure them. The test and measuring process must be done by people who are not part of Big Pharma or any of the banks or things that potentially have controlled us in the past. We would prefer people who are experts within their fields who wish to be patriotic to provide that input. The policies will be completely transparent through that process and through the process where they're developed. We would have a news feed on our app where the policies could easily be seen and publicly available. Any decision making will be done based in the will of the people and only in the will of the people. So that's all people of Australia will have a say all of the way through the process. We've recently made some amendments to the original proposal to make it much more inclusive. There were some original security things that I had originally written into it, which some people have misconstrued the meaning behind them from what I originally intended, which was to unify the country, and hopefully one day the world if the system really takes off. The system was given to me in downloads over the last 30 years. I won't say it's mine directly, it is mine. I put it out there, I've put my name to it, but I believe it was given to me, and I do believe the creator's given it to me. So whatever your stance on that is, if you're a religious, spiritual or atheist, that's my belief and the way I see it. So I stand in my truth, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. So some comments been made recently about the team. I stand up and put my hand up and say I put my name to the original document. Any comments that are made towards the people in our team, really, it comes back to me, because at the end of the day, I've got great people working with me, and I mean, I'm honoured to be working with them. But lately, yeah, we have had a little bit of bad press out there, and we've copped a little bit of, and that is based in some of the decisions and processes that I've proposed in the proposal itself. But I'll take ownership for that. I believe I'm trying to do the right thing, and I invite everyone to have a look at what we've created so far. And the amended proposal, I think we've got a little bit of an issue. Somebody reported to me earlier, I amended it, put it up. Haven't had time before the meeting, so it will be done within the next, I expect, 24 hours. We want to just review a couple of things before it goes back up. Overall, the principle's exactly the same. Everything we've been talking about is pretty much the same. We're just trying to make everything a lot more inclusive and available to the entire, I guess, public of Australia. So all of the people, because that's what we're about.
I am sorry, can I interrupt? You got 5 messages that it's hard to hear you.
Right,
it's a bit muffled and the volume's very low.
Okay,
and
is that any better? Is that better?
Well, I don't know until you talk a lot, but it's got to be close and loud and clear.
That's okay. Sorry, I have been having some microphone issues lately. I do have a professional microphone here, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what's been going on. We've had a lot of computer and mobile phone issues. So do I sound better now? Just a thumbs up from anyone, please. Okay, great. As long as everyone can hear. I hope you guys got the bulk of what I said. I prefer not to sort of run through it all again. However, look, at the end of the day, as I say, there's some great people here working away with us. I'm going to bring Graham Jeffs on now to have a bit of a talk about the QMS. Are you ready to go, Graham? I'll try and find him. He does have some, Graham does often have bandwidth issues, so I'll see if I can find him now. You there, mate? Yep. He's there, I can see him. Okay. Graham, you're muted at the moment, mate, if you can hear me. I don't know if I can unmute him from here. Okay. Graham will be with us in a moment. Penny, I can see you're there. You're pretty ready to go. Would you like to briefly say a piece about the QMS until we can get Graham in?
Sure, yeah. I can see Graham's got his hand up, so I'm not sure if you can unmute him or not, but I'll talk a little bit about what I've been doing in my local community. I'm part of a group that has grown quite large. It's kind of started in the stand in the park, and then it's become more. And we have grown the community now where we all know each other. We meet every Sunday. It was a bit hard during lockdown and the police did show up, you know, and there were a few fines handed out, but we handled that quite well because we had already prepped each other as to what to say, what not to say. So with that, I think it's really good advice to get to know your awake community. And now we have Zooms every week. Last night we run through each member of what their skills are, what their jobs are, so that if it comes down to it and we cannot, for example, go to the hospital for an emergency because we haven't had the, you know what, we know who our local doctors are, nurses are, anyone available for an emergency. So we're not left in the dark without that help, like mechanics. We also created a list of people that we can depend on to take maybe the elderly who are awake and don't feel confident going shopping on their own. So we can go shopping with them, you know, and because they want to stand up, but they feel intimidated. So I think if someone like me with them, it would, you know, help a lot. And then again, we can depend on that community growing. The more support we have locally, I think it's quite a wise thing to do. Always plan for A, B, and C. And that's what we're doing. We're also putting a letter together to just give our local police, not to go and serve them or anything, but just, you know, to let them know that we are also empathetic towards them and, you know, that we would really, really like them to stand with us, because we've heard that quite a few local police are sitting on the fence and they're just about ready to leave. So, you know, if we approach them that way with a positive frequency, then hopefully that's reciprocated, and not to be aggressive and not to protest in an aggressive manner locally, because I'm in Port Macquarie, New South Wales. It's quite a small town. but big enough to make an impact. So, and it's growing. It is growing. A lot of teachers are leaving their jobs. So I've got plans for that as well, to try and bring them into the QMS. And I spoke to Graham last night. I won't get into it, but, you know, we do have ideas for that. So if there's any teachers here, I'm sure you'd like to talk later on and see what, you know, we can maybe arrange for maybe online learning, or, you know, eventually a whole new curriculum, because, you know, I don't know if a lot of teachers are happy with what they're teaching, in fact, in class. So I'm excited for the future of, you know, more history coming through that our children should be learning, and not what, you know, the old school curriculum is still teaching the children. So my son actually just had to do an assignment last night on the Nuremberg Code, of all things. So that was so appropriate. And he did it really well. So I said, you are going to see that actually become quite a significant topic now in the near future. So he understands it too. He's awake. So yeah, just thought I'd let you know, get together with your community, you know, and go and meet somewhere. I know it's hard during lockdown, but we did manage to have Zooms. So, you know, that's always a possibility. So I endorse the QMS today. Graham first introduced it to me last year. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, wow, you know, this is something that's going to give us our voice back, like a referendum sort of system. And that's the whole idea for me. And that's the way I explain it to people. And, you know, that's what's missing. So if you want to explain it that way, I find it's the most simple way. And, you know, just to say, are you happy with your government right now? And high percentage answer is no.
All right, thanks, Penny. I appreciate that. Yeah, as Penny said, we've been talking since the start of the year. She's brought quite a lot of people to us, which has been really appreciated. And Penny's great voice, great face to have out there promoting the QMS. And obviously she's got a lot of connections and a really big following. And she's, yeah, look, I mean, I really shouldn't, but yeah, we've become friends over the time, and I appreciate that, Penny. It's great to have some of the input and feedback that you give me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we wouldn't be here without you, and I think you've got an amazing mind, and to create this is just incredible. And I'm sure we all appreciate you putting yourself out there, because it's not easy. We're going to get criticised, and we just got to take it on the chin and move forwards.
Yeah, look, I mean, criticism was expected from the start. So at the end of the day, you don't put yourself in the public like this and not expect it. So I know what I'm doing, I believe in. It's up to others whether they want to follow or not. I'm hoping Graham's not having issues still and that he can join us now, if that's okay. You there, Graham? Sorry, Ben, I'll just put you back on mute. Thanks. You there, Graham? Okay, well, while Graham gets... I'm not sure what's going on at the moment, but perhaps Karen, would you like to say something on what you've been doing with the QMS? Karen's been doing a lot of background work with us, although she's probably still busy doing the admin stuff. Are you there, Matt? Matt Wilson?
Yeah, hey everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well.
Hey, mate. Do you want to just grab 5 minutes and give everyone a rundown about what you've been doing and your part in things, and I'll wait for Graham and Karen to come in. They can say their bits after that.
Yeah, of course. Firstly, I hope everyone's doing really well and having a good start to their weekend. I think it's hard to keep track of days at the moment, but it is the weekend, I've been told, at some stage today. So I hope everyone's having a good weekend so far. I first came across the QMS system, met Graham at a little bit of a freedom gathering get-together, and he sort of explained to me what it was all about. And I know for people who are new here, when you first hear about it, it's a lot to get your head around. And I kind of initially went, well, this sounds really big. It sounds like a big project. It sounds like it's going to be a hard thing to do. And I was one of the people that was like, I don't know how easy or how hard this is going to be. And I'm lucky enough to be across a lot of different groups. I do, pretty much every day I'm in Zoom meetings. I'm in meetups. I go to every single event. I go to every rally. I go to everything that's on. And what I've found with QMS and what this is all about, it's actually the hardest thing to do is get your head around it initially. But once you can simplify it and start having the conversations with people around you, it sort of all comes together as what people have been looking for already. So the way I like to explain QMS is that currently we're in a system, the Westminster system, which is running around the world. And it's a system that you think it's two parties. You think that it's all these different votes that get put into, you know, where, I mean, initially a lot of people don't really understand politics. There are people that are really into politics and understand where their votes are going. And there's other people that go in and just go tick, 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 cross, 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 and have their sausage and go home. What I think this system's saying is basically giving the people a voice, because in Australia, we tend to forget that the power is with the people. And it's been a long time of us giving our power away. Whether even when we're voting, we're giving away our power to governments and sort of relying on our governments to have our best wishes at hand and to do the best things they can for us. But what we've found, particularly with what's going on with COVID and what's going on around the world, is when we're reaching out to speak to our government representatives, when we try and speak to our MPs, I don't know if you guys have all experienced this, but when you're trying to write emails and you're trying to make phone calls and you're trying to get initiatives off the ground, you want help, you want advice, it's very hard to have your voice heard beyond a very local level. And in speaking with Graham, the idea of a QMS type system is to head back to what our constitution originally said. And our constitution is talking about referendums, the power of the people. So when you want change, when you want great change, you put things out to a referendum and the people decide on where you head as a country. And that makes sense to me. So what I started to do was go out and have conversations in my groups. I run my own Instagram page, but I'm also in a lot of different groups throughout Facebook, Instagram, real life groups at the rallies and everything else. And I started to ask really simple questions. And I think Penny was talking about it maybe earlier. I got on a little bit late, but I started to ask the question to people, do you trust your government? Because what we've done as a society is given a lot of that power that we're meant to have ourselves to our government. And someone's come off mute, I don't know who it is, but...
I'll see. It's actually going on someone getting in before we can unmute.
Someone's cooking chocolate or doing something like that. But what I think we've done, I'm hungry actually now. What I think we've done is we've given away our power and we've not realized because it's happened slowly. And with this system, and what I talk about is with people, I say, do you trust your government? And the answer nearly every single time is, well, I trust them to an extent, but not really. Like when you start digging into it, you know, and not to go too far down rabbit holes, but, you know, they're protecting pedophiles, they're protecting sexual abusers within their own ranks. There's lots of different things that are coming out where people are saying, well, I'm putting all my trust into this government to look after my health. They're taking my taxes. My MP that I elect is meant to be doing things for me and my family within my local area. And yet when I have a question, I can't get in touch with them. I can't get them on the phone. I can't walk into their office. Like right now, we can't even go into their office. There's people getting reported for going outside their 5Ks to go in to see their local government MP. So it's craziness what's happening right now. And what it's actually done is put a spotlight onto how powerless we are when we're meant to be the ones that are, our voices are meant to be heard. They're meant to be our representatives, and it's not happening. So what I talk to is I ask people if they trust the government. When they say, well, I don't necessarily trust them, I say, well, what about if there was a system that wasn't this Westminster system? What if there was a system that was put into place where instead of electing an MP, so if you elect an MP that runs the Minister of Education or the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Health, once you put that person in place, they start making decisions for you and they chop and change and it goes through them or it goes through the Senate. People can get moved in and out of that position without you ever having another voice for the next 4 years. With something like QMS, you have a group of people with your best interests at heart, putting in processes within your health area, within your education area, within these different areas. Once this term of reference gets put in place, you then put it out to a referendum and the people vote on it. So you put it out to everyone and you say, what does everyone think about this term of reference? And everyone says, gets on their phone or their computer and goes, I vote yes or I vote no. It's so simple. And then the majority gets that put in place. And if that gets in there and it starts working and 8 months later or a year later, everyone says, well, that's shit. Actually, that doesn't really work. the majority then puts in another term of reference to try and fix it. That then goes out to a vote. So you're consistently doing what the people want. The people are the ones having the voice again. And all of a sudden you've got a system that's going to work because the people are out there saying, this is what we want for our nation to make it an amazing place again. Because right now, the bureaucrats that are out there doing it, the politicians that are out there making decisions, are doing it on our behalf without our voice being heard. And I think for myself as an Australian, I'm youngish. The country, if you watch it from when I was a child and things were carefree and you could sort of get about and do beautiful things, compared to now where you're getting fines for parking your car in a place for 5 minutes too long. You have to get, licenses for your animals to be on a beach. Like lots of these little things, like they're really taxing you and taking your money and doing these things all the time without us having any say in what we want for our beautiful country. So the QMS system's really about taking that power back from these people and putting the power back with the people. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And what I'd love is for people to duplicate this out and go and have these conversations. They don't have to be complex conversations. Like this sounds like a really complex system. But if you can break it down to say to people, what do you love about Australia? And do you trust your government? And how about if we can put something back in place where the people have the power and we make this a beautiful country again? How does that sound? And you'll get people saying, let's do it. Let's get involved. Let's make a big difference. So from my perspective, I think, Graham Turner has done an amazing job in putting this forwards. With everything, there's always going to be teething problems. You need to get a skeleton of it together at the start. Once that skeleton's in place, it might not be perfect, but he's listening. Graham's listening. The group are listening. Like when people are saying, this isn't quite right, this isn't quite right, it doesn't fall on deaf ears. They want to get it right before it gets right out there to the masses. And I think collectively, we have some amazing brains throughout Australia. We have amazing hearts, and we come from a place of care and love for this nation. And we want to make it a beautiful place again for everyone. So get involved. Everyone can be a voice in this. Everyone can have a say. And I really think it's an opportunity for us to make great change in this country.
Thanks, mate. As always, mate, love your work and really appreciate the words, mate. Thank you very much. I'm going to bring Karen in next. Karen's been working very closely with me over the past few months, developing the documentation, making sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed within the QMS. She's coordinating all the working groups. So if anybody's interested in becoming involved in the working groups, touch base with Karen. We've got quite a few things going on. So there's different, like, for instance, we need marketing done. We need people to help us with the website development. Then there's the issues around how do we restructure the various systems that are out there. So we've got different people out there working on various bits and pieces. We're just trying to make sure that at the moment we know what's going on. So when the questions come up to us, now just to be clear too, before Karen jumps in, I just want to state we're not a political party. We don't have the answers as far as what happens with everything. We rely on you guys to do that. We're building you the tool to do it with. So there are many things that can be done and changed with the QMS, but we're not claiming any authority or anything beyond our sovereign authority to our creator or our the fact that we have to adhere to the creator's rules. So beyond that, like obviously you've got to live by the law of the land as it stands as best you can. But yeah, look, we've all got our points of view as to where that heads. So I'm going to bring Karen on next. Sorry, Matt, I saw you come off mute. Did you want to quickly say something?
I was just going to quickly say to all the people, there's a lot of questions dropping into the chat. We will get around to them. We'll scroll through them and we can all answer them. And you guys can come off mute and have a chat as well. I think this is a great forum to bring up. And the questions are great, the ones I'm seeing pop through right now. I won't address them right now because there's a few I could answer straight away, but we can get to them once Karen's talked and Graham's had a couple of words. Keep rolling the questions through because we can go through them and we can relate back to you some answers on what's there as well.
Yeah, perfect. And look, as I said, everything's going to be done on the will of the people. Thanks, Penny, if you could grab all those questions and send them through. And look, at the end, as I say, if you've got a question, feel free to put your hand up. We're not going to be able to answer questions on policy because, as I said, we're not a political party. But look, we want people's input, we want their ideas. So I'll hand over to Karen now and let her say her piece. Thanks, Karen.
Hi everyone, good
Phone
evening.
now.
Sorry?
Oh, Graham.
Sorry, Karen is saying I've got my microphone now, but I've got no video. So when you're
Okay. Hi everyone, good evening. Been a very busy week as it usually is in the QMS world. So just letting you know, we've launched a page on the website called Volunteers. And on that page, we've got 3 tiers of volunteers. We've got people that can run a resource for us and take charge of that resource. So that requires a level of expertise. So as Graham Turner mentioned before, someone to maintain the website for us with our oversight, someone to work on our videos and collecting all the videos and organising that side of things, and someone else to take charge of radio calls and things like that. So 3 people to sort of take charge of a resource and run with it. Obviously, they'll need to be experienced in what they're doing with those particular things, because it's going to be they're big jobs. They're very big jobs to run on their own. So if anyone wants to take anything like that on, please get in touch with us. We also have coordinators, and that's people who can get teams together. So we've got quite a few different teams. We've got a marketing and promotions team. Now there's all sorts of marketing and promotions things that we can do. There's letterbox drops, there's stand in the park events, there's rallies and marches, there's speakers, people that can speak at events, speak at shopping centres, and there's people that can sort of help with social media and things like that. So someone who could find an army of volunteers in all the states that will work to promote things, because we've all got something different to offer. Sometimes we've got expertise and special knowledge. Sometimes we've just got our time to give. Sometimes it's just our effort. It could be anything. So whatever we've got to give, we will appreciate whatever it is that you've got to give. Now, the teams of volunteers will obviously require volunteers that will choose to be a part of a team. So obviously I've just mentioned marketing and promotions, and that's great. We need, lots of people to engage with that type of thing if that's what they feel they're drawn to doing. We also need a team of people to facilitate the various focus team meetings. So that's like being a chairperson and facilitator. The thing with that is that they've got to find people that are willing to have some short training to make sure that they're actually chairing a meeting that doesn't digress away into all of the other topics that are going on in the world, that they focus entirely on the subject matter that is being discussed. And also that there's no conflict of interest. So the chairperson, if you're going to chair an education team, then you can't be an educator. You have to be someone neutral. So to find a team of facilitators and to manage that team, coordinate and manage that team for us. We're also looking for a coordinator of minute takers, because we're going to need an army of minute takers for these meetings. Another coordinator to find people to find the participants that we need for our teams. So we know there's lots of educators and health people and elderly senior Australians and young Australians and tribal Australians and all sorts of people from all walks of life that are willing to stand up and talk. But we need to have people that can find the entire team. And that means, for example, if we have a health team, we not only need all the doctors and specialists and surgeons and nurses and care workers, we also need the complementary medicine as well, all to represent all the different facets of complementary medicine. So we've got both sides represented. And then we also need end users, the people that have used both of these systems and their input, as well as neutral observers and the representatives of the various elements of society that need to be represented in everything. For example, special needs for elderly, for young Australians, for disabled Australians, special needs for mental health and tribal Australians. So everything needs to be represented, plus neutral observers, just that know nothing about the topic and can sit and observe neutrally and make sure that the topic isn't swinging one way or another or shows any form of conflict of any kind. So people that can find an entire team to bring, like an entire health team, an entire education team, and so on and so on. And we also need people to find some philanthropists for us, because with their stand in the park and the marches and the letterbox drops, that's a lot of printed material there. And if we've got lots of people and bodies on board that are willing to drop that off free of charge, then it would be wonderful if we had some philanthropists or business owners out there who would say, I'll pay for your printing. But they have to do that directly. It can't come through any of us, because we're not here to make money, and we're not a political party or anything like that. So if we had someone who could find some philanthropists who would be happy to put their hand up and help to sort of fund these types of marketing and promotions things, that would be fantastic. But also philanthropists who are capable of offering a resource that we might find very useful and helpful. So, for example, with the stand in the park and the marches and rallies and things, people that could lend us or loan us free of charge the staging and the audio equipment and the microphones, so that the speakers have somewhere to stand up above the crowd and the facilities to be able to speak up. So there's all sorts of types of volunteers that we need. Now, I know that list isn't complete at all at this stage, but that's what we need right now, so that it will expand. So if you're interested, go on the website, and under get involved, you will find the 3 different types of volunteers that we need at the moment. And just bear in mind that they may change and grow as we go along. We also set up another page on the website this week, and it's under I can't remember the name, Meet the Team, About Us or something, and it's called the Endorsements. So we have an endorsements page. So we've got, in the Dropbox, we've got Meet the Team, followed by endorsements, followed by frequently asked questions. And so you'll find details there about, it's only just started, but we're starting to fill it up with people's endorsements of the QMS and a picture of that person, so that you can see, who they are, why are they supporting us, and just get to know, a little bit about them and links to their background, so that you can see what they're all about. So lots of stuff going on, and very, very soon, I've been gathering for some time now interested parties to sit with me and talk about our tribal nations and how we move forward with that, to give them their voice now, this minute, now, not at some later point down the stage, but get them all on board and talk about things now directly. So I'm really looking forward to that piece of work, heart to heart, because that's where it should be, from the heart space, from that point. I don't think there's much else that I can add at the moment. There's lots of things going on behind the scenes. So we're bogged down with meetings, we're bogged down with phone calls and all sorts. And I've had a very tough week dealing with, I think it was 1,500 in the end, 1,500 emails to have to reply to and answer people's questions and fears and problems and things like that. So it's been a very tiring week trying to answer people as quickly as possible. And if we don't answer you straight away, people, if you do email us, we will get to you. We won't ignore you. It's just that we've been overwhelmed with a lot of emails and we're trying to work through them all. So that's enough from me. I'll hand back to Graham Turner.
Thanks, Karen. And as always, your work on this has been greatly appreciated too. And with that, we wouldn't be as ready as we are. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we are about to go to the masses, and we are about to go into some major marketing campaigns. We'll go into those probably in the next meeting. I'm not sure if Graham wants to say anything about them at this particular meeting. There's still a lot to be noted about in the background. We are aligning with other groups. We've actually fully aligned with the Australia Project. We've had many chats with them over the last few weeks, getting everything organised, and there will be a lot of cross-platforming and cross-membership. So we'll be suggesting our members get involved with a lot of what they're doing, and that their members get involved with us. We will have a call to action soon too. Now, this isn't, as I've said, we're not a political party, and we're not advocating anything violent, dangerous, or unlawful. We want to create something that is constitutional, and that may be that the people of the country may want a new constitution. So what we're actually doing is building the tool to be able to give people a voice that they've missed out on having through what I believe is pretty much the last 50 years. We want people to be able to then decide what they want in this country based on clear and transparent information being fed up the line back to us. And then once we can all make our decision, educated decision based in tested and measured processes where we can actually see what's going on, that's when we can have a referendum vote as a country, and we can put a policy process or procedure into place. And at that stage, obviously, everything's got to operate on the will of the people. And with the current structure, it doesn't. With our structure, we believe it will. Now, Graham, are you ready to go? Can you unmute there, mate?
I'm ready.
Oh, let's go. All right, cheers. Hang on. You there, mate? Somehow you muted again. I was lowering your hand. I might have done it. I apologise.
I'm here, yeah.
There you go. Go for it.
Okay, so I apologise. I got no video. I've got one. I got voice or video. So I think you'd much rather listen to me than watch me. Thanks, Graham. And Karen, can you post the Cognito link, please? Because I don't have it on my current phone. Look, I just want to give people a little bit of a political history lesson, and for those of you who know this, then congratulations, and I hope you're telling other people. We go back all the way to, I'm only going to go back to 1908 when the Parliament decided to create a two-party preferred system because they thought that there were too many candidates and the votes being spread too thin. So they created a two-party system. Now that took away the ability for Australians to vote for one vote for one candidate, and basically making every election after 1908 unlawful because we only had a chance to get either a left wing or a right wing. And we all know that the analogy for politics is it's a bird. There's a left wing, a right wing, all the other shit's in the middle, and the tiny little head is the Prime Minister, which is also not in the Constitution. So we move on from 1908 to 1966 when they introduced decimal currency to this country, removing the coin of the realm, which was backed by gold, which was the British pound. So from that day on, we started to participate in the fiat currency fraud, which is basically run by the elite and the bankers. So, then we moved to 1973. Gough Whitlam changed two pieces of the Constitution to create the Queen of Australia and the Australian Government Corporation. Now, a lot of people don't believe this because they think that the reason where the government is a corporation is so that they can trade internationally. Well, that's not true because, yes, we do trade internationally, but we traded all the way up to 1973 without a company. And then all of a sudden, Gough Whitlam decides to change the Amendments Act and the Royal Styles and Titles Act. Now, the Royal Styles and Titles Act is of the British monarch. When Queen Victoria signed our Constitution into law in 1900 and created the indissoluble Commonwealth of Australia, it was indissoluble and it was to be passed on to all her heirs and successors in perpetuity. So the creation of the Queen of Australia, which is a fiction, was obviously against our Constitution. Now, then we move along to 1986 or 85, 86, when Bob Hawke took the Australia Act document to the UK and supposedly got royal assent. He came back with that document, a copy of that document signed Elizabeth R. in the top right-hand corner of the front of the Australia Act document, which is a signal that she actually received it, not give royal assent. So he created the Queen of Australia's royal styles and created the Australia Act as given royal assent from the Queen of Australia. The Australia Act, the original act, still sits in the UK High Court in the Privy Council, waiting for the Section 128 referendum that it required to pass. So the Australia Act, which took Australia out of the British Commonwealth and placed us into the corporation of the Australian Government Corporation, is unlawful. So then we move along to 2014, 2015, and they created the bail-in law, which is basically an act that provides that the bank can declare an emergency and take the savings of every person that has money in their bank. So that's just a snippet of some of the information that we can give you in a free ebook that was created by Dick Yardley after 30 or 40 years of research. This is all documented evidence that's in an ebook that we are quite happy to send to you. It's not a I suppose it's a gift, for everyone, because we want everyone to know the truth. Because as they say, until you know the truth, you don't know the truth. But once you know the truth, you can never unknow it. So all this stuff is in a book, and we want you to learn it. We want you to browse through it. We want you to share it with other people. We'll give you the ebook for free, but we also want you to join the QMS, because I've been working on this, getting the Constitution restored since 1999. Wayne Glue's been working a lot longer than I have, and so has Dick Yardley, Larry Hannigan. Tim Dwyer's been in there for the hard yards. And there's a lot of us that are getting older now. We want people to actually understand this information, so that you can exercise your constitutional, and we call it right because it is a right. The Constitution provides for government at the will of the people. That was taken away from us in 1986 when they introduced their version of the Constitution, which doesn't have the preamble. Now, the preamble is what ties the people to the Commonwealth. And it starts off, it says, whereas we, the people of New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, Tasmania and South Australia. So that joined in an indissoluble Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth of Australia, not the Australian Government Corporation. So we are run by a corporation, and we need to remove ourselves from that. If you think that we're not, think about everything you do in your daily life. Every attached to an agreement or a contract, and the way that you're attached to that is by acquiescence, by use consent, which means that you use something of theirs, or by implied consent for acknowledging something that may or may not be lawful, which is anything in capital letters, or by given consent because someone needs to mute. You can do that, Graham. You can mute people. Whoever can you mute, please? Thank you. So basically what I'm saying to you is that the people that sit in our parliaments now and pose as our governments are corporations. Okay, we do not have a judicial system or a justice system in this country anymore. We have what they call quorum, which is CORAM, which is an authority, which is a body asserting authority that they have that they don't have. So we have a system of tribunals in this. So when you court, there's no justice dispensed, only at the tribunal deciding how much will be paid and who will be paid. So Jackie Dundee is working with us also. She's got a couple of cases that we're trying to get to the High Court. What we're trying to do is get the High Court to go against the Constitution, so we declare the High Court an irrelevant well, it's supposed to be the People's Court. We're trying to get the High Court to either admit the Constitution is the lawful rule of law in this country, or they go against it, which removes them from the judicial system and places them with the corporation. So all of these things, and I don't want anyone to think for 1 second that it's going to be easy, because it's not. Getting back to the QMS, this is the best thing that we've seen. And Graham will tell you that Wayne and I and Dick Yardley on separate occasions all said that if the Constitution was let run its course, we wouldn't be talking about the QMS now. We'd already have one, because it is of the people, for the people, by the people. And for those people who are worried about the technology, you're already using the similar technology and biometrics on your smartphones. It's just that you don't have the keys to that. Someone else owns it. And the key to this blockchain technology is owning the keys, and the keys will be vested with the will of the people. And so the QMS will be unable to be changed unless it has the majority of the will of the people. Now, we need 8.6 million electors, lawful electors, to agree that the QMS is a better system than the two-party preferred system. I've put a challenge out to all of the politicians, the Craig Kellys, and also the candidates, the Rod Cullertons, the Rick Bossies, and the existing ones that call themselves our saviours, Pauline Hanson, Malcolm Roberts. All of these people have been given a challenge to debate with us, a constitutional panel, against the QMS versus the two-party preferred system. Now, anyone that's on this meeting at the moment, and I can ask you, and you know, I don't need your answer because I know what you'll say, pretty much. Would you prefer to have a system that only allows you to have two parties that have failed us for decades to as your voice of elect, or would you like to actually have a system of governance, economic and societal, that actually was run by the people based on the original executive committee, which was supposed to be installed at the turn of or at the installation of the Constitution in 1901. The executive committee was to sit between the monarch, beside the Governor General, at the will of the people. Never happened. So we want to create these executive committees or advisory panels, if you like, around every portfolio in governance, economic and societal systems in this country. And we want to place them on the QMS, in the QMS, so that only the people's will can actually dictate what happens in this country. So what that means is that you'll get a unique code, which is unique to you, and no one will know it's you, but we will know when that code is used to vote on something at a shire level, at a state level, or at a federal level, even at an international level, so that you, the people, will have input into this system, the QMS, on just about everything you like. And we're not going to set around you, the people, being able to instigate a referenda or a referendum, but there's a framework around that, and you'll have to do some work. And if you really believe something needs to be done, then you'll get the opportunity to gain the support that you need in the framework to bring it to the attention of the rest of the country. And so the QMS, the best thing that I've seen in all the years that I've been trying the Constitution board. The QMS, Grant Turner is a very clever man. He's a man with a vision, and that vision is freedom for Australia on every aspect of our lives. And I can't knock that. In fact, I dips my lid to him. I take my hat off to you, Graham, because it's a brilliant system. And when you get people like Jackie Dundee, Matt Lawson, Tim Dwyer, Andy Legg, Dick Yardley, and the people, and I'm sorry if I've missed anyone, but the people of Karen Yardley, Penny Johnson, all these people who have been fighting for you over whatever time they've been doing it, come together in one voice, and that's QMS. Now, for those who are still asking why aren't the other groups coming to us and align with us, they've all been asked. They've all been told about the QMS, and now it's up to them. And if you're a member of any of these groups, and I noticed in the chat someone mentioned common law groups, we are way ahead of common law. Common law is referred to, it's English common law that you're talking about, and the English common law is not what we're talking about. We're talking about rule of law, because each of us, and I'm going to get a bit spiritual here, but each one of us is an image of our Creator on this planet. Okay, the only thing between us and our Creator is our crown that sits on the top of your head. Crown sovereign. All right, so the only person that can give away your crown sovereignty is you. So you place your crown sovereignty where you want it, and we're suggesting that you give that consent for us in the QMS to get our country back. And this will roll out all over the world. I have no doubt that this will happen. We're going to start small. We'll start community unity, which is what Penny was talking about before. Get out in your communities, talk to your fellow, the people that live in your suburbs. All these sort of things can be done so easily and quickly if you just believe in the QMS. I do. And I know Grace does, I know Karen does, I know Tim does, I know Matt does, I know Wayne does. We all do, but it's up to you. And I think because my voice is getting croaky and I'm going to lose it in a minute. So I thank you for listening. The ebook is available. All you need to do, is to declare that you want our lawful constitution restored, put in the QMS, and then taken to the people for the changes it needs, must have, and maybe you suggest. So thanks for listening, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Graham.
Do something soon. We're finished.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. And it's been an absolute honour working alongside Graham too. I mean, people of his calibre don't come along very often, and when you have an opportunity to work as closely as I have with him, I mean, it really has been an honour, so I do appreciate that. And of course, that goes for everyone I work with. I mean, Tim Dwyer, those of you who've seen Tim operate, the man, he's brilliant. And I mean, he is a real gentleman as well. Matt, I mean, he's got a heart of gold, that guy. Matt is one of my favourite people in the world, and I'm so honoured to consider him amongst the people working with me, and I hope I can call him a friend. You know, Benny, Karen, I mentioned both of them before. We've been very, very lucky to have these people come together. Dick, Wayne, those guys, and I mean, I can sit here all night and acknowledge everyone that's involved in putting support to it, but at the end of the day, these people are brilliant people. Again, we're not trying to push our way onto you or anything like that. The QMS is simply a tool we've all come together to create so that we can have a voice, you can have a voice, and we can recreate our country. Now, we're not planning on leading the country, so if anyone thinks that, you know, we're going to get up this system going and then run the country in some way, I have no interest at all. The only interest in any leadership I've taken on board is to do the QMS. And I mean, obviously, I've played different roles in my life with my business and my family and things like that. Now, on the topic of family, I've been getting a lot of flack from mine lately, and a few comments have gone out there talking about things from my past and things like that. And unfortunately, they have one way of seeing things, and I see things differently. Some comments being posted in Facebook and on the public arena. Look, at the end of the day, I think it more demonstrates the calibre of them than myself. I'm just not interested in playing this game. I love my family. Unfortunately, we don't agree, and you know, they've gone and taken a choice that I strongly disagree with, and I feel I can't sit around and watch what's going to come as a result of that choice. So that would be more hurtful, and I've got some very important things I'm doing at the moment, obviously, and my focus needs to be on this, because at the end of the day, I have to at least try to save my son and my country if possible, and if I can save myself along the way, well, I'll do that too. Although I'm already safe, so I'm pretty safe there. Okay, now Leith, I see you're in the meeting, and you've been very involved in the law team. Are you able to unmute? Would you like to say something at all, or you there, Leith? Leith Masters? Oh, what's happened there? Oh, Penny, you've gone big somehow. What happened there? Okay. Sorry, guys, I'll be just getting sorted. So my views have changed somehow, so I don't even know how that happened. Yeah, weird things happen with my computers sometimes, and I've got a fair idea why. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's fine. Okay, Leith might be busy, so what we might do, have Tim, have you made it into the meeting, mate? If you have, would you like to unmute and say anything? Tim Dwyer, I can't see you in there, but all right, we might move on to the question time now, I think, if everyone's okay with that. So I see Marilyn's got her hand up there. Would you like to ask your question, Marilyn?
Yes, I'm just wondering, because we're all, I suppose, scattered, all the members now, and those members coming in. My question is, how can we facilitate this quicker, speed it up? You know, what I meant is, like, is there a strategy that we can do? Because there are other party out there, like, you know, United Australia Party is good as well. So, you know, we're all over logistic wise, we're everywhere. I'm just thinking, what's the best way? I know we're in lockdown. It's pretty hard to do, like, physically, and you know, unless we get a lesser restrictions. But as it is now, you know, if you guys have got a better strategy that you can maybe pass on to us to help.
Graham, did you want to answer that?
I will. Marilyn, first of all, we've approached all the parties, and I've actually put out a challenge to debate the QMS versus the two-party system. The two-party system is unlawful. It doesn't fit within our lawful constitution. So it doesn't matter how many parties are out there that you think might be good. None of them are lawful. So we've invited them to come to the QMS, and if they do come to the QMS, they will then have to disavow, if you like, their political aspirations, because we don't need politicians and we don't need political parties. What we need is good advice. What we need is good advice through advisory panels, and then the people will decide what is best. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to be putting every single thing to the people first. We're not going to be doing that. What we're going to be doing is getting the best business minds in this country, that can sit down and look at our economic situation, the best governance people, which is people who know how things run, to sit down in advisory panels and have a look at every policy, every portfolio that we've got currently, and work out why it's not working for the people. Because at the moment, most of our government does not work for the people. It works for the government. And the government, they are employed by the people, but they've lost that idea, and they think that they are a sovereignty in their own right, but they're not. So we need to get that back, and so everything will fall into place. Now, how to get things done quicker is, we don't know. We are doing everything we possibly can to get in front of people and give them the advice and the information that we have. But it all comes back to, people are still pinning their hopes on political parties and candidates. That it will never work. It's been, 120 years of Westminster system government in this country, and since 1908 we've only ever had a Liberal or a Labor government, which means the people have been ignored. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Marilyn, did that answer your question adequately for you?
She's gone.
Okay. I'll also mention too that we are looking into other promotional ideas and concepts, ways that we can possibly push it forward. Sorry, I'll just pop you back on.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So we are doing everything we can. Obviously, funding is an issue. We need, if we could find the entrepreneurs or philanthropists that Karen mentioned earlier that can buy some of the things that we need. Look, I'm self-employed. I already put a great deal of time into this. I know Karen can do 10, 16 hours on it also. Graham spends, his entire day, and I know Penny and Matt, along with their own lives and things that they do, they put an incredible amount of time into it and everything they do too. So, the more people that become involved, the more people that offer to volunteer, the more people get into the groups within the various areas and start to thrash these things out, because that's really what needs to happen. We want to find heart-based solutions. We want to find ways that we can move forward in a completely non-corrupt society. I've got a couple more questions, but before we go into them, I'll just ask Matt or Karen, or if either of them. Matt's just coming on, so if Karen would like to add to what we've said, I'll do that in a sec, and possibly.
Can I just add a little bit to that? So Marilyn, it was a really good question as well, and we get asked that quite a bit. How do we multiply this out to the correct people? What I think's happened in the last 3 to 4 months is some of the political parties like One Nation and United Australia Party, they've cottoned on to the fact that people are stuck in fear and people are looking for solutions. Now, the people who have jumped onto their political parties quite often have gone, well, the other two aren't working, so I'm going to jump to this. But in a lot of ways, you're still within the same system. You're trying to fix the system from within the system. Those people are the ones we have to have the conversations with to say, look, it's great that you've jumped on there. They are slightly different to the parties that we're already in line with and we already know about. But truly, the best way to fix this is to go outside the system and look at something different altogether. So what I think is starting to happen with my groups and the people in my groups is they're starting to speak, and Graham, Jeff spoke about this another time. All you need to do, it's a bit like multi-level marketing. You just start speaking to 5 people who then go and speak to 5 people who speak to 5 people. As long as you're getting the correct thing out, you're speaking from a heart space, which I think it sounds silly, but if you're speaking from if you believe in something and you speak from that gut feeling, others will pick up on your belief and spread it out as well. The biggest thing, though, I think that's happened is a lot of people have jumped, as I say, onto these political parties because they didn't have any hope. but they're still the same system. So get around the fact that that system's broken. If you're voting a team into that system, they may give you some solutions, but you've got to remember, Clive Palmer's still a mining magnate. These different people have their different agendas that they want, and they're sort of playing on that fear within the same system. So really the conversation is, this is a whole different system outside of the Westminster. We don't need to go and kick people out of Parliament. We don't need to go and hang anyone or do any of that kind of silly stuff. We're really doing something within the Constitution that's legal and lawful, and we're trying to do it in a different way that's better for all Australians.
Yeah, well, we don't want anyone done for sedition or any stupid things. We don't want anyone doing anything unlawful, illegal or dangerous. It's those things will just get bad press for us, and obviously they'll affect the person that does it. Karen, you had something you wanted to add to that as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we are getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of messages with people that are very frightened, saying, please hurry up, please hurry up, please hurry up. And just wanted to put out there that people are acting with haste, but we have to do things properly. If we rush in and we do something without all the T's and the I's dotted and the T's crossed and everything absolutely in place and correct, with the correct number of people in the right place doing the right thing at the right time, it will fail. So please don't get yourself stressed out and stay stuck in the fear, but do something to take yourself out of the fear. And also bear in mind that the wrong things and the wrong ways are coming to the surface first. So we've already seen a few people come and go. They've done things unlawfully, illegally. They've done things the wrong way. The wrong way is taking people out in Parliament with guns and removing them. The wrong way is unlawfully. So there's quite a few groups and people that seem to have an idea and seem to be more ahead than anyone else. And it's like, well, they're doing something. They're actually doing something, these people, and you're not doing anything. Well, actually, what we're doing is behind the scenes. And it's building, it's happening, and it's being done correctly. The people that keep doing things in the spotlight are doing things wrong. They're dissidents, they're vigilantes, they're doing everything in the wrong way. Let them come to the surface, let their wrong way be seen, let their wrong way fail, and they will fall to the ground, and their followers will then have to start to join in with something that has more validity and is lawful. And what will happen is more will come to the surface and more will fall, and more and more. And what we'll be left with is the right way. And while these people come and go, we're still working on things behind the scenes, lawfully, peacefully and constitutionally. So I just want to reassure you, please don't get frightened. It has to be done the right way. And no one will share their battle plan. So if you're asking for details and timings, you're not going to get them.
Yeah.
Over to you, Graham.
Thank you. And I mean, look, we hear all the information. We get people come to us and say, will we join this and that? We have to be really, really careful. We don't want to get tarred with the wrong brush. We're building a tool here. We're not trying to create, we're not about overthrowing anyone. The tool we're building could replace the system if that's the will of the people. So if you want to change the system, if you want to change the process, two-party political system, even these independent parties that are popping up everywhere and uniting and everything, it's great to show that we've got, that out there, but how much do you see of them in the media? How much actual effect are they really going to have? And what happens if they get your vote, and where does it go? Because it's going to go to one of the two major parties in the vote trading. So, all right, I'll get back to the questions. We've got Geraldine next. So, Geraldine, would you like to unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, thanks everyone for all your work. It's good to be here again for my second time. And Matt, thank you very much for that very clear explanation early on in the meeting. I have two questions. One of them was you guys talked about sort of committees or forums of people that would debate and put forward ideas about how to run various things. And I wasn't sure why, of course, we don't want any, what did you call, conflict of interest, but why would we not have teachers in the education forum? That was one question. That was an example given, I think. You might be able to explain it more because I would have thought you'd want them there.
Darren was referring more to the person that does the coordination. I mean, within the actual forum itself,
Okay.
discussions, it would be teachers. I think you probably have some parents, students. I'm not sure.
Okay,
But
so the coordinator would have to be very neutral and open. Yeah, okay, I understand that.
that's what you meant with that. So, yeah.
That makes sense. And the other question is just a little one to Matt. We have a group who meet in the park in Narre Warren. We've got about probably 30 people, and we met this afternoon, and it's really fantastic, as Karen, I think, said, meeting with like-minded people and building our community. We talked about Matt's project, which I saw online about taking the invitation to all the local shops to, would you like to put this up in your window that says, you know, you don't discriminate? And I can't find it now, Matt, to send to all my people, but can you tell us how I can get onto that?
Yeah, 100%. I'll drop it into the chat so you can pick it up as well, the Google Drive file.
Okay, thank you very much. And your video then that gives people an example of how it's friendly and easy. And yeah, we've all adopted one of our local shopping centres, so we'll tick them all off and then get broader. And if every shop in Melbourne or Victoria was done, you know, that's a good thing.
I think the beauty of what you're saying there is exactly how we multiply our QMS. So once it's very similar, we'll put together some information for you. We've got some videographers and people like that are working with us, where we can put together a really basic information type thing. So the next time you meet in the park, you can say, this is QMS, go out to your areas, have the conversations, talk, because shopkeepers, all these people, we need them on board. And when they start learning about it in the shops, the person who goes into the butcher for a chat about, you know, what's happened on the weekend, buying their meats or whatever, or if you're a vegan, buying vegan friendly food, they'll walk in there and their shopkeeper will then be our best salesperson. So we can all multiply out these salespeople. We're not trying to sell anything, of course, but multiplying out the conversation is a really easy thing to do.
I think so. And one person, I mean, to get to every shop, that'd be great. One person in our group, he may be online, I haven't checked, wrote to every single school principal, secondary school principal in Victoria, letter in an envelope about the jabs and about their responsibility. So that's great. And I think we need to do every single doctor and send them all that information. Sorry, it's not QMS friendly stuff, what I'm saying, because I don't know much about it. And our little group that meets is more RDA. So anyway, I think it's all little tiny steps forward. We're all on the same page, really.
Can I say something? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'll just quickly finish up. I think what you're saying is actually very relevant to QMS because it's about people power. So it's consistently doing these things. You don't need to have a political party to do that. Well, RDA is amazing. And we're talking to them in the background, although they've got a big hiccup at the moment, obviously, with Monica. You can multiply it out. RDA wasn't originally about being a political party. They were about trying to bring democracy back into Australia. QMS is about a democratic society, one that actually works, using referendums instead of using a two-party preferred system. So what you're doing out there in the community is exactly what QMS is all about. And I applaud you for doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Geraldine, we're also doing what you're doing with the posters like Matt's doing locally in our group, and our group's quite big here. And what we've done is we've put like a little bit of a script together because some people didn't really know what they'd say, and without, you know, we don't want any conflict, we don't want to argue points or anything, we just want to support their business. And we've actually got a register on Facebook of businesses that will, you know, allow unvaccinated, vaccinated. And then also the quantum management system, I think Karen's just started to put it together today, is the Truthers and Traders group from Facebook. She's collaborating a register to go onto the QMS. So those businesses are going to get promoted and they, you know, boost their business, which we all need right now because we've been locked down so much. So, you know, if I go into a shop and they said, oh no, we'd rather not, I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. That's a shame. You know, we were going to promote your business and put you on a register. So, you know, it just gives them that little bit of guilt, I think, if they don't agree. And
well,
yeah.
How many registers are there? Because I know of two, and I don't know if you're talking about a third one. I think perhaps the more the merrier, but we need to know about all of them, I guess. RDA has probably a smaller one. There's one with 100,000 on it.
We have a couple, just in answer to that, Geraldine. We've got on Facebook, we've got the Truthers Trades and Services Marketplaces Global and Australia. They've been going for a while. I think we've got nearly 5,000 in the global one and about, I think, 3,000 in the Australian group. On the QMS website, we also have a members trade area now where members who'd like to display their business to other members can send us their photo, logo, whatever they'd like, and a blurb, and we'll pop that in for them. That's just to obviously give members a place to go if they want to trade with other members in there as well and other like-minded people. Now, once this goes to the masses, obviously that side of it may drop away, it may grow. It's just there at the moment. And the website really, just so that everyone's clear on that too, it's a landing platform. It's so that we can start to show the will of the people, start to discuss the solutions that we've got. It's not the actual app. The app is a blockchain device. It is an encrypted software package, and it will be, we hope, available in the very near future. Negotiations are still going on around it, the design of it. There's quite a lot involved when you put something like this together, because as you can imagine, it's a very complex app. And in order to make it secure, we've had to look at every aspect of what we're trying to achieve. And I mean, it's even meant that we've sort of been able to go that little bit further with the original proposal that I'd come out and make changes in that'll be able to sort of benefit all of the people. So it's a long, slow process that we're involved in, but we're a long way along it, which is the good part of it. Now, just to jump back to how we get people on quickly, we have actually been discussing some ways of doing that. And when we can just clear up a couple of little pieces of information that we're just trying to clarify at the moment, because as we say, we've got to do everything lawfully. It's got to be to the letter, so that we can't bring disrepute on the system or ourselves. The system's far enough out there now that if anything happened to me, I'm pretty sure it would continue on, or if anything happened to Karen or Graham or Matt or any individual one of us, that everyone would continue on with it. I would certainly hope. So, and as people become aware, this is an option. It's an alternative. Before we had democracy, we could think in terms of a tyrant ruler, or we could think in terms of communism or socialism. To think beyond to a direct democratic system, which is really, I mean, people don't like the word democratic, democratic, all that sort of thing. But what we have is a way that we can actually demonstrate and put forth the will of the people, the voice of the people and the will of the people. And that's what the QMS is about. I've loosely coined the phrase a quantumocratic system. Because essentially it's a living system. It'll develop and evolve as the people in it develop it and evolve it, which is all of Australia. Because at the end of the day, people will be feeding information up. The system will be sitting there. As we've mentioned, it's going to have, some people call it AI, some call it machine learning is probably the more apt term. What it'll have is logarithms looking for certain things in it, trying to bring forth statistics and information, bring forth policy, put certain wordings and things like that together, because we all say the same thing sometimes, but we can say it differently. So it's got to be able to work around all of those things. It's got to be secure. It's got to, you don't want any foreign countries infiltrating it and doing damage to it. You don't want any internal people forcing political decisions their way. Unfortunately, we've grown up in a corrupt system with a society that has had to survive, and as a result, that corruption's pervaded from the top down, and everything's been damaged. And as we said before, the only way to get rid of that endemic corruption, that endemic failings in processes and policy and the rest of it, is to put something new up, and that's what we're doing. So this is an alternative. It's not an overthrow. It's not a takeover. It's not a coup. We're just simply putting forth a political construct, or it's not even political, a construct of governance or managing a country, a concept on how we can do that. And we hope that, obviously it's being well accepted, but we hope that the people out there, everyone will come on board and start to use it, and that we can change our country as into the country it should and could be. Anchor's just got a question next. I'm going to try and get through the questions because we do get a lot of them and they sort of develop as we go. So Anchor, if you'd like to ask your question, please. Hi, how are you?
Hello, thank you for so much for allowing me to join in. I'm very new here, but I truly believe 100% in this because I'm 52 years old now, but my first 20 years I lived in Romania. I was born there. There I lived in the UK and in Australia since early 2005. I'm Australian as well. And the point I want to make is I already got through a 1989 December revolution, so-called revolution in Romania, which was a fake one. It was set up by Soros, and it was exactly what's happening now. They were trying to set up the two parties at that time, from communist to the two parties. We know the two parties are the same bird with two wings, but now the tendency is to create from two parties to one party in the whole world. And very good Australians are too gullible biting into this because they try to, seeing Craig Kelly mitigating for apparently the right reasons, they are thinking suddenly they are the good guys. They change hats and suddenly they washed themselves from the dark party. They came in the light at the moment suddenly. So I'm trying to mitigate. I recently moved from Sydney to Canberra. I'm here for a few years, but I find it very, very difficult to deal with people here because I don't know, it's a bunch of people very different than the whole part of Australia. They obey 100% everything. It's like they don't think at all. They just do whatever they are told on TV. And honestly, I'm the only one not wearing a mask. I'm the only one with excuses like a medical excuse or whatever excuse just to break the rules. But I've never met within a month and a half anyone around me in the whole Canberra who would like to step outside the regime's rules. And I'm trying to figure out, to get some support, advice, what would be the best thing, considering I'm Australian for, let's say, a bit less than 20 years. And I'm trying to help as much as I can because the Romanian revolution, fake revolution, it's happening now at a larger scale. And because I know what it is, they wouldn't stop at anything to kill people like it happened. They killed, very young people for no reason, because they wanted to set up their regime system again. And I know they would stop at nothing now. And this is why I know how to help, but I don't know how to handle almost 100% people around me, like robots, like machines already.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think Graham wants to answer that, but just briefly before he does, I'll say if you jump into the Truthers Trades and Services Group, Australia and Global, you will meet other people from Canberra that are like-minded and that you can possibly network with. And I know, I think Mary Jane Riddicote's up that way and she's involved in the movement. So if you find her on Facebook and connect with her, I'm pretty sure that she'll have a lot to say to keep you busy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Anchor, I just wanted to, I was going to, Graham pinched my thunder then. What I was going to say to you was there are plenty of groups. You just need to search them out. I think there's about 5 or 6 groups in Canberra. There's a Stand in the Park group. There's a Millions March group. There's lots of groups in Canberra. And, have you got your ebook yet? Did you email for your ebook?
Yes.
Okay, so when you got your ebook, there would have been a whole bunch of live links for you to fully connect. You need to fully connect with all of the links that we give you, because that's where you'll find like-minded people, and that's how you find people living across the road from you. You just don't know. So, but there are I think there's about 6 different groups in Canberra. So you're not alone, and. Like Graham said, you need to connect to all the different groups that we associate or align with, and that'll give you your road to people who live near you.
Yeah,
That's all.
you know,
Yeah.
I was thinking, because I already had the experience in the past, I mean, at a smaller scale, but it's the same. It's always the same pattern. I think I would be the right person to talk from experience for people to understand this one party is just another trick, you know, because I have Australian friends, born Australian friends, they want to do the right thing, but they take the easy path now with this one party. And I keep telling them, this is another trick and he'll be sorry. And at some point it will be too late to undo what they are doing now, because they would go nowhere. And if we look at America, they are doing the same. They dismantle the two parties and they take the one party side. And at some point, they want one party in each state for them to set the world government, because this is a tendency. They move the capital to Israel. Obviously, all the commercial center is moving slowly to Israel. And after that, they want to have the one world government. So this is the tendency, actually. And coming from financial system, Intel Finance, I've been involved. I know a lot more than I say. And this is why this is a kind of very shortcut story I'm putting out there. And if it was necessary, I can type a letter and to put in mailboxes if this helps. I don't know.
Well, everything helps, Anna. Anka, sorry. We just need you to connect with all the groups, because you can also volunteer to help out, and Karen will put you with a coordinator or put you in a group where you can help.
Yeah.
So we'll get, that's the thing for everyone to do, and that is to make sure that you're connecting with all the groups that we send you the links for, because, you know, we know they're all like-minded people. So they're the people that you need to be speaking to, and you'd be surprised. There could be people living around the corner from you.
I agree with you.
But,
look, because I moved houses and it was very hard to find everything I needed. Now it's the right time for me because I'm getting there. So I look thoroughly into those links more. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Anka. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Sorry, Matt, you wanted to say something there too, mate?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say to Anka, thanks for the question and thanks for your story as well. I actually find in my inbox, a lot of the people that woke up, or whatever you want to call it, I don't like to say sheep, awake, whatever, but a lot of the people that were aware of what was happening very quickly in Australia had come from other countries where there'd been communism and regimes, and they'd seen this happen before. They'd seen how bit by bit you lose your rights, bit by bit you lose the trust in the government, and they became very aware very quickly. And like you, they felt very alone because they were shaking everyone else by the arm and saying, can't you see what's happening? And in Australia, unfortunately, we've been the lucky country. We're very young. We haven't seen this happen before. What I think that you'll find right now, and I'm getting this in my inbox every day, more and more of the people that are getting the jab, that are aligning with the Craig Kellys and these different parties, are actually saying, wait a second, I've had the jab, I haven't had any freedoms, I'm still in lockdown, the control mechanisms are still in place. It's just about us multiplying out your story. Like I was saying earlier to Geraldine, if we all start multiplying out these stories and getting them to as many people as possible, that's how we bring about change. So I would love, Anka, even if you want to get in touch with me, I'd be happy to put your story out there for people to get the idea. And maybe it's given me an idea that I can speak to other people that have come from other countries that can say, this is how it works. This is what happens as you get your freedom stripped away. You're not going to win from within the same parties. It doesn't matter who you vote for. You're in the same system, and it's quickly heading down a bad path. Here's a solution. QMS is another way of doing things. I love that you're out there telling your story, even with us, and I'd love to get it out there to as many people as possible.
Thanks, Matt. Again, as usual, mate, you have a beautiful way of saying things. I really appreciate it. You can often make it a lot more clearer than I can, so thank you. Pauline had the next question. So Pauline, would you like to?
Yep. Hi, everyone. And I love coming here every week. I'm learning more and more each time. One question I do have is the QMS declaration to co-join. How does that work, seeing that we're voters of the government corporation?
Graham can answer that one, please.
Yeah. Okay. Co-joining, I don't know whether you're familiar with what co-joining is or joinder. but you can co-join anything. You are not, in fact, a member of the Australian Government Corporation. You were seconded or tricked into citizenship, which is not lawful. We still stand under our lawful constitution, which is our rule of law. So it's only that you have been conned to believe that the Australian Government Corporation is your boss. So it does not have any effect on anything that you do in your life, other than you are declaring that you want our lawful constitution restored, in which case the QMS would be given a referendum to install as the new Australian voting system and platform to place our governance, economic and societal systems on and in. So you're not doing anything wrong. We've been doing this for a long time, and touch wood, we're all still here because we're not doing anything wrong. We're doing everything that is lawfully available to us. Jackie Dundee is taking cases to the High Court. She's lawfully allowed to do that. Don't use the word legal, because legal is of the commerce or of the corporations. Lawful is of the Constitution. So everything we do is lawful. So we're not asking you to do anything that isn't within your lawful right to do. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And
Yeah.
what happens in the event when elections come up?
Okay, we'll have an answer for you on that. We're working on a few things at the moment. But look, a few years ago, we tried a little experiment which was called Vote of No Confidence, which Arthur Cresby, who was a Liberal politician many, many moons ago, spent 50 years of his life researching the constitutionality and lawfulness of voting in the two-party system. And you are well within your rights to put a line through all of the candidates and parties and write on that ballot, no candidate suitable to govern at my will. You don't have to put anything else on it. Now, you write that in biro, not in pencil. And back in 2015, we started it. And in about, I think it was 2016, the AEC, which is also a subsidiary corporation of the Australian Government Corporation, gave our votes, the vote of no confidence, its own category. And that was intentional informal vote. So informal votes are one thing, but an intentional formal vote is you exercising your constitutional right to let the government know, or to let the AEC know, that there is no candidate there to govern at your will. Now, we don't know whether we'll continue that or not. But can you imagine one thing for 1 second? We go to the next federal election, which is 2 years down the track, I think. And instead of everyone going to the polling booth to vote, you don't go, but you co-join with the QMS, and we get the numbers we need. And they come to you and say, we're going to fine you for not voting. And you say, well, I already did. I voted in the QMS. And, we have remedies to take these things to court. I've been fined before and I'm not suggesting that you do this. I'm just saying that we'll have something, a little bit closer to the election. I've been fined for not voting before, and I didn't do anything. You see, the one thing you don't do when you get a fine is contract. You just let the fine play out and you get your day in court, because that's your constitutional right to face your accuser in a court, not a tribunal, but a court. But anyway, that's another story. But you go to court and you just say that there was no candidate there, because you take a photo of your vote of no confidence vote, you take it to court and you say, I did vote, here it is here. And you show them the ballot with what's written on it, which is no suitable candidate to serve at my will, to govern at my will. And they drop it straight away, because you did actually vote. You voted with your constitutionally lawful right to tell the AEC that there was no candidate there suitable for you. And that's the two-party preferred system. Yeah? Because if it was a lawful election, you would actually probably have someone to vote for.
That's right.
I hope that gives you a little bit more confidence.
It does. It does.
Great.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I haven't voted. Oh, sorry. I know you meant to put your hand up. Sorry. It's Craig here. I haven't voted in about 20, 25 years. And they send me out the thing saying you're being fined. And I just replied and say, I don't vote due to religious beliefs. Now, if they ask me what my religious beliefs are, I don't believe in Australian corrupt criminal corporations of government.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's an option too, mate. But I mean, eventually, what's going to happen is you're going to get someone in the system that doesn't like your constitutionally lawful attitude, and they're going to come after you. But look, remedies for everything. But what we tell people is that if they think that their fine or their penalty or their levy or whatever is lawful, let them take you to court. Don't contract with them before that, because you're entitled to have your day in court. And there's plenty of people out there, Tom Barnett, there's just one that can give you and show you how to defend your constitutional right. And that is, basically you have to ask them, well, I'm here. Where's my accuser? Who's been offended? What crown do you sit under? Where do you draw your authority? There's a million different things. Now, that's not for everyone, and we're not suggesting that everyone do that, but we're hoping that the QMS will give us the system that we need, the system that we must have, so that this crap doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah,
and that's our prime goal, is to get our country back in the hands of the people.
Yeah, cool. And apologies, sorry, I know I jumped in. I forgot to do the hand.
That's all right, mate. We'll send you an invoice. We'll send you an invoice for that.
Yeah,
no worries. Yeah, okay, cool.
So our next question is from Mel Rose. If you'd like to unmute there, please, Mel.
Hi, guys. It's actually not a question. I just wanted to let you know I've been raised by two GPs of over 50 years each of experience in the medical practice. My dad's no longer here, but my mum is still here, and she has Alzheimer's, which unfortunately is hindering things going on. But at the same time, she still remembers everything from being a doctor. And for over 50 years, she's had the flu vax once in over 50 years of medical practice with literally thousands of patients. Now, my mum actually fled the war to come to Australia. She fled from Germany. She was born in Latvia. She fled from Germany. And what she has described to me is exactly what we are going through. Exactly. Now, I've written down everything that she's described to me that she went through, and I have no doubt at all that it is exactly what we are going through. It's just a different era. There is no difference. But yeah, anyway, I just want to sort of, I didn't have a question as such. I just wanted to let you know that from my perspective, the daughter of two GPs, I know for a fact that if my dad was still here, there is no way in hell he would be agreeing to all of this shit. And I'm just astounded at the GPs, basically going with what APRA has said. I mean, they've signed the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah, there's a lot behind that. I mean, yeah, look, you go right back into the whole medical industry, and it's been stolen by Big Pharma. We know that. And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about making people well. It's about making money. It's big business.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Know that there are still doctors around like your parents. I mean, they're the sort of people we really want to get on board with what we're doing, and they're the sort of people that should be coming to us and talking to us about the healthcare and health systems that need to be recreated. So every system's going to be stripped and rebuilt. We need people with skill, experience, and knowledge to get in there. So if you could.
Well, unfortunately, Mum's retired now 6 years. I'm now working full time as well as her primary carer. So, I'd love to get Mum on board, but at the same time, I think that with her Alzheimer's, it would just be too confusing for her. Day to day can be confusing for her. So, but if she was still practicing 100%, I'd get Mum on board.
Thank you. Yeah, and look, it is beautiful to know that people like that exist. You're very, very lucky to have such beautiful parents that are true to what they believe. So, and I think that's really important for all of us to once you've got a belief and once you're moving forward, you have to stick with it. You have to stay true to yourself.
Yep.
I'll go on to the next question now, which is, so thanks, Vince.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Okay, hi guys. Just for a bit of info, I'm actually an IT person and quite involved in crypto and blockchains and bits and pieces. So I asked a question. I'm hearing a lot about the parties that are the one like One Nation or Australia One or whatever. And I hear that we're wanting to debate them. Why are we wanting to debate them? Why don't we offer them the opportunity to use QMS to actually represent now until we can fully get this integrated?
Okay, so number one thing is getting them to talk to us. They've all got a frame of mind. They're working within a political system. So don't think we haven't made approaches, because we have. I've been making approaches to politicians that may be able to, or that are saying that they're for the things we believe for well, pretty much the last 12 months, and not one of them has replied to me until just recently. I know what Graham's wanting to do, I believe, is actually a brilliant idea. He's not so much, he doesn't want to shoot them down at all. And Graham, if you want to unmute yourself and come in, I know you want to sort of add to this particular question.
This is one of my babies. I love this subject. Who's the question from?
That was from Vince, mate.
Vince, mate.
Okay, yeah, good. Just to give you a fair idea, I'm a very good friend of Tim Dwyer's.
Okay, well then you should already know the answer. No, look, we put that challenge of being ignored. I was actually talking to Pauline Hanson about restoring the Constitution when she was in her second year of Parliament. So that's how far back it goes. And, every time we would get, her almost ready to talk about alternatives to the two-party system, because all we wanted to do was get the Constitution in front of the people's ears and eyes. And this is the same thing we've been working on for all this time. And Graham and I have been sending out invitations, not challenges so much, but invitations for a long time to invite them along to have a talk about the QMS, and we just get ignored. So what I came up with was, I thought, you know what, I'll send out. I'll debate the system. So this will give people the opportunity to get on their favourite party or candidate's social media and say, are you going to the debate? Now, we've sent it out to everyone, and that includes all of the candidate parties and individuals, and also the existing parties. And you know what? We've only had one reply, Rick Bossy. And Rick and I go back many years. And the only reason he replied, because he knew I was going to dog him to death if he didn't. So, but that's where we're at, mate. So we encourage people to get on their websites, on their social media, and ask them, because they all know about the QMS, and they've all got the debate challenge. But only one, as I said, only Rick has replied.
Yeah, and look, I go directly to them these days to try and get their ear, but as Graham said, they just, most of the time they ignore us. I guess they feel they're too busy with what they're doing, and
no, it's got nothing to do with that. They don't get back to us because they know that if we debate the QMS against the two-party system, they'll lose every time. I mean, the two-party system's unlawful. Vince, if you know Tim must have gotten this in your ear on many occasions, I would imagine.
I've been well and truly in this camp for a long time. In fact, I thought of this idea about doing a voting system via blockchain about 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, there you go.
So well done,
See?
Graham.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
if you've got skills and expertise you'd like to add, please touch base with us through the info at the QMS site, because we do need people who know what they're doing in these areas as well. I mean, I'm not a blockchain expert or anything. I've just had the concept. I'm working with engineers and people, software engineers and people. So the more people we can get on board that are pulling in the same direction and want the same result, the better for us, the better for you, the better for the Australian public. And yeah, so yeah, look, we're not afraid of the political parties. We know what we're doing is completely lawful. We're not doing anything that could get us in trouble. As far as we're concerned, look, we've got a Communist Party and a Nazi Party here in Australia. We're not even a party. All we've done is we've put forth a proposal, a concept for a new style of self-governance for the people of Australia. There's nothing illegal in that. You're allowed to express yourself politically.
Unlawful.
So yeah, and it's a peaceful approach. What we're trying to do is totally lawful, peaceful, and it does, as we said before, fit within the Constitution. So look, there's talk about if we can't get the numbers within a certain period of time. Once we reach certain numbers, we can create a split-off society. There's all sorts of talk going on at the moment. We've probably got about 8 or 10 different ideas around how we can bring the numbers in a lot quicker. We're still just, you've got, as we keep saying, everything's got to be spot on. We're going to the masses here, not just the movement. And like the movement might listen to us, might agree with what we're saying, but we've got to be ready for the whole of Australia, regardless of what they think. And that's what we're working on at the moment, is trying to sort of cover every single base and every bit. I mean, if you'd seen some of the flack I've copped alone, and Graham has and Karen has in the last few weeks, it's, yeah, and I mean, we still believe we're doing the best thing. We're still standing in our truth, but obviously we're taking everything on board and we're trying to work it into a system where it really works for, of and by the people. And that's the only system we will accept in governing the country. I've never voted either, and I've stood in front of it, and I'm not meant to bring this up, but it's not about how I did it or anything like that. I was lucky. I didn't know much about the law at that stage, and I'm not going to claim to now. I defer to Graham and Wayne, Jackie and people like that with relation to matters like that. I see myself as look, I've created a concept and now I feel I have to just make sure it stays true to form, and that's what I'm trying to do, is live my truth, live to what I believe is best for our country. And everyone else may have different ideas and opinions. That's fine. I just want to give us all a tool to bring them forth, because there's 27 million ideas out there, and until we explore some, we can't know what the right ones are. And being told by 1% of the country how to run our country and what to do, and then we all get policies are proposed by parties. And then when they get in, they don't even enact them. They do what they like anyway, and they rewrite the policy as they go. So what we're proposing is something that's just totally people-led. So,
Graham, just before you go on to the next question, I just wanted to tell everyone again that because there's a few questions coming into the chat box, all parties have been invited to talk to us about the QMS. So we haven't left one stone unturned. So all existing parties and all party candidates and individual candidates have been invited, and only one person has replied, and that's Rick Bossy. So that should answer the question for everyone that's asking.
Yeah. And look,
all right, cheers.
If people want to connect them to us, please do. We're happy to speak to them. Catherine, you were next. Would you like to raise your question?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
We can.
That's good. My name is Catherine McCormick. I'm an intellectual property developer. I've been in this country since 1981. And I've never been able to take Australian citizenship because I'm not getting on that boat. I know what that's all about. The same people, and they made a nasty deal. The Australian government made a nasty deal with the American Democrats to get me out of America. My government sent 2 men in black to my place. And they said, your government would like you to take a long holiday. And I said, where? They glitched. And finally it came back and they went, in another country. 3 months later, there turns up some guy romancing me. And I'm thinking, okay, I've been through a lot. I'm going to go through this. You know, we got married, all of that. 3 days later, he goes, okay, pack, we're going to Australia, going home. And I'm thinking, oh my God, was that what it was about? You know, I'm one of those people, unusual people in the States. When I was 12, they did a national scholastics. They tested everybody that year, absolutely every child. And they're looking for their new corn for the field for the CIA. And they look for particular people. I happen to be an RH negative. I happen to have a particular gene, which they also like. And I've been dodging these people for all of my life. So to come to, you know, Van Diemen's land, the heart of Luciferianism, and get stuck here, Qantas won't fly me out. Qantas actually ground me. They said, we're not taking you out of the country anymore. And I've never been able to actively book a flight out of this country. God knows where I'd go anyway. So I'm here for 40 years. I had to go to court not long ago. This is with the last 3 years, 4 times with the government. They lost 4 times. They're in breach of 2 court orders. I'm hoping they breached the 3rd court order. A judge told them never, ever, ever sue that woman again. Ever. I've never taken someone to court, but every time someone's taken me to court, I've won. And the reason that the Democrats wanted me out of America, because I won against the IRS. Open the floodgates completely. 27,000 people did exactly what I did in the US against the IRS. So I try not to join groups because these people follow me. You know, they cut me off. They won't let me on Facebook. They take me off Twitter, all these things. And I know it's supposed to be a badge of honor, but it's just frustrating now. I see a lot of what people are doing in Australia. This group is wonderful. I've been in other groups. The New South Wales Common Law group, I went and looked at them. I don't know what's happened. I had to leave. I was too furious. They're forming a new language. We don't need a new language. We have language. And I think that Australians need to understand the language of what governs them.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. They have no education in their school. America's is bad. Everywhere is bad. But there needs to be some way that if you're going to use the Constitution, you look at it, there need a few amendments. I'll have to say that. You have to be inclusive. You have to have a Bill of Rights, and people have to agree on it. And that should be the first thing, in my belief, the first thing that will actually activate your program.
Catherine, could I invite you to shoot us an email with your contact details, please, to info@QMS, and I'll get Karen to touch base with you and organise to get you into some of our groups, because I think you've got a lot of information there that
Sorry, sweetheart, I'm profoundly deaf.
My apologies. Is that any better? Or sorry, I'm trying to talk directly into the microphone now. Hopefully that sounds better for you. So I'll shoot.
Sorry, Graham.
What I'd like is if we could get your contact details, perhaps you could send them to Karen in the chat, and we'll get you in on some of our groups, because it sounds like you've got a lot of value that you can add to what we're actually building. And,
thank you very much for that, Graham. The only thing that I do ask is do not mention my name.
No problem at all. But
I've seen how they've devastated people in my neighborhood. I've seen what's happened.
Yeah, no, get in contact with us through info@theqms.org. I'll send it to you in a chat shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So the second thing in this is that I have to say, I've been canvassing all the people around me, neighbors and such. Sorry. And they're all double jabbed.
Yes.
And I'm not. They're all double jabbed. I can't be stuck with. I've never had a vaccine. No allopathic, no doctor has ever been willing to stick me with a vaccine. They will now because they're indemnified. That's like buying a car when you have no guarantee, no insurance, no nothing, any product. So they get $400 for every jab.
Yeah, it's all a money-making scheme. The whole thing's just been blown totally out of proportion. It's all about money and fear and control. So
part of the things that the people are actually coming back with, which is maybe why this is not getting a big response, is they've bought into it. And now a lot of them know they're being brainwashed.
Yeah,
But they're okay with that.
what we're trying to do is create, because we see that the problem's there. So what we're trying to do is create the solution and come from the solution basis. So I want to get together with you and chat further for my own reasons, but also around the QMS. So it's just, we've got a few more people and it's just moving on in time. So I'm just trying to get.
That's all right. Just trying to think of ways that if people really want to know, use it by starting with the Constitution, go section by section. Do they vote for that? Do they still believe that that is right?
Yeah.
That gets them to come in, join, and vote on the Constitution, on a Bill of Rights. Oh my God. Anyway, I stop now.
Thanks, Catherine. No, I appreciate it. And I think, yeah, we will definitely get you into some of our groups, because I know you've got a lot of value to add there. And I really appreciate you coming on and bringing that forth for us. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Graham.
So we've got the next question from Penny. If she'd like to unmute herself, please.
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi, Penny. Yeah, I like what you're doing. It sounds really exciting. Just quickly, at the current rate of membership, how long do you think it will take to actually implement this?
Okay.
Or is it sort of implemented already?
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. It will come down to the will of the people at the end of the day. So we've got 6.8 thousand members on the site now, which anybody who was watching a couple of weeks ago will know that's grown quite substantially from where we were at then. The site is now, I think we're coming up for about 12 weeks old. So, you know, within 12 weeks, I think that's, and considering that we're not rich, we don't have a lot of money behind us promoting it. We're doing it through social media sharing and through going out and talking to people in the public and explaining it. And of course, we've got people like Graham and Wayne who have massive followings and people that have been following for a long time who are also sending their membership. We've got the Australia project, which is starting to talk about what we're doing as well, and Jamie McIntyre, who's also telling people what we're doing. We did a good interview with him recently. I know Graham wants to add to this, so Graham, I'll ask you if you could want to say.
Penny, our reach is about 1.6 million, but we don't have 1.6 million people. Sorry?
That's good.
What happened then? Yeah, no, but we don't have 1.6 million people actually co-join with the QMS. And the reason for that is a lot of people are sitting back waiting to see what's happening with all this, you know, COVID crap and all that sort of stuff. So, but what we're doing now is we're linking up with influencers that have massive followings, and hopefully we get a win in the High Court, which will either be the High Court stepping away from the Constitution or enforcing it. We believe that we need a catalyst that will get us, you know, minds, not so much the ears and eyes, but the minds of the people there, because we've got their ears and eyes, but we don't have their minds yet. So, look, we're confident that we can have this done by the end of the year. It's an unknown quantity because we need the people. Yeah, we know. Well, we need the people. It's as simple as that. I mean, if we get the people, we're probably 4 weeks away from having a referendum and dismissing the Australian government. So,
if someone's got $50 million in their back pocket and wants to pay for some things that we need, we could have it as soon as 2 days. So the whole thing.
I think Clive Palmer would be all right there, don't you? He's got a bit of money.
Yeah, he also demands a lot of things in return, which. You know, we don't want any obligation hanging over the QMS, but look, even if we had the money tomorrow, we still need the people. So, you know, the system itself is the quickest part.
Yeah, I think on a grassroots level, the only way we're going to rise up is from the bottom up at this stage. So at the moment, of course, I've been asked not to work from the government, and now they're paying me not to work. So I've got a bit of time. So if you can get me some flyers, I'd be happy just to walk around the streets and put some flyers in.
There are flyers.
And, you know, whatever else.
There are flyers on the website. We do need to be careful around littering with that, because if they blow out of mailboxes or get thrown on the ground, we can become liable for that. So,
yeah,
but there are flyers on the website. If anyone wants to print them out, give them to neighbours or put them in their letterboxes. Just you know, be aware that like anything that gets treated like litter or just thrown away onto the ground, we can get
Very fine for it.
Yeah.
So it has to
And
go in the
also-
letterbox.
I mean,
Well, only letterboxes that don't have the sticker on them, because it's classified as junk mail. So we don't want to give the corporations any ammunition to fire back at us. But look, you know, have you heard of the Invite 5 to Thrive and Survive?
No.
Okay, so you
No, I
must
haven't.
know,
Yeah.
you must know 5 people. We think everyone knows 5 people that are awake.
Yeah, I've already told 5 people. I've already got
Yeah.
5 people on there, and I only just found out about you guys last week, and I've
Yeah.
already got 5 people that's done. So I can do that.
Well, that's
no
how
drama.
it starts. That's how it starts. So those 5 people that you bring in, you tell them about the 5 people, and they go find 5 people, and it's exponential growth. And you know, Tim Dwyer was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, that is more help than people can even imagine to get the numbers that we need. And we're working on bigger scale things. But while we're working on that, you know, every single co-joiner of the QMS can do that 5, you know, and it's pretty simple to understand. And we know that, you know, you could have 500 friends, but only 5 of them are awake, and we only need the 5. And then they know 5, and they know 5, and they know 5, you know. And we worked it out. I think it was 12 weeks or something. Tim worked it out to get the numbers. If everyone does the 5 to thrive and survive.
The beauty of what we're doing is that most people don't trust the government. We're going out and talking to the masses of people and saying, do you trust the government? And what was 99.95% of them are saying, no, they don't. And then when we say there's an alternate system available, would you consider that?
Yeah.
And then show them the QMS, we find that they go, oh, love it. Yes, we'd like something like that. So that's, I mean, I've been market testing this over the last 12 months myself, but Matt goes out and does that. Penny does that. And we're all getting the same sort of result. We very rarely find somebody that says, yes, they trust the government. We don't have to wake them up. All we have to do is get them to understand that there is an alternate option that is trustworthy, it has its integrity. And I mean, the integrity doesn't need to come from me or any of the people working on it. Of course, we want to present with integrity as best we can. We're human. We have histories, we have lives, but the integrity comes from the system, because the cross-checking that's done in the system, eventually you need a public service to run this, and we won't be involved in it any further once it gets to a certain point. And it has the will of the people and the input of the people. So engagement's key, membership's key at the moment. And the best way to do that's network marketing, like Graham just said, and asking people.
Well, I think, at the moment with the opportunity word keep getting bandied around, I think there'll be a big opportunity when people come out of this lockdown realising they're not going back to normal. I mean, I know people in Israel, UK, US, we're not going back to normal. So, you know, there'll be a lot of people who will be saying, no, I'm not happy with the government, or particularly medical apartheid that will result in this. And there'll be people like myself that will be banned from going in places. So, you know, I don't really think Australians are going to it's going to sit too well with the Australians when they say, you'll have to discriminate against your friend. I don't think they're going to like it. So this could be a great opportunity. I think you're right at the right place at the right time, and I'll definitely help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Thanks.
it. And thank you, Penny.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. We've got Georgie next, so I'm going to ask Georgie to unmute, and if she'd like to, or I assume it's a she. Hi, Georgie.
Yeah, it is a she. Hey, everyone, it's Georgie here. I have got a question. It'll either be yourself or maybe Graham that might be able to answer it. How will you guys, or how will the QMS handle the United Nations agreement that was signed for the Agenda 2021 and 2030?
Well, any laws made past 1901 are illegal or unlawful as far as
look. You know, if you when you get the ebook, you'll see that all of these things that were, you know, the Treaty of Versailles, you know, the infrastructure, all these things were unlawful because they required the consent of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
what we've been doing is we've been linking up with a lot of groups around the world. You know, we've got groups in Spain, France, Germany. in the UK, New Zealand, and some in the US that are all watching what we're doing, because we're the trial ground for the New World Order, One World Globalization agenda. Australia is ground zero, right? So they're all watching what we're doing because they love the idea, but they're not in a position to move on anything just yet. But we're confident that once we get the QMS stocked, if you like, with the people that we need, and we dismiss the government, we're a Commonwealth, we're a democracy. At the moment we're a constitutional monarchy, but that could change. The people might decide to remove ourselves from the British Empire, and that's fine. But the thing is, we're a Commonwealth, which means our army, all of our military, all of our so-called police forces, which are the constabulary, which will be rejigged, all of that sort of thing falls into the control of the people. So we've got a lot of allies. We have a lot of allies, yeah. And we have those allies are not necessarily, their military are not necessarily aligned with the UN. So the UN as our trustee is dismissed when the government is dismissed. So that might sound like a really bold, smart-ass statement, but that's actually how it works. So we have a constitution. We have a constitution that was signed, and brought into law on the 1st of January 1901. That was usurped in 1908. So in fact, the people still are in control. They just don't know it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Governments operate on the will of the people, and at the moment, by voting in their system and all the rest of the things that people do, they're giving their will to them, whether or not they agree with it or not. So we're not suggesting
it's consent by use.
Yeah. So look, we're not going to tell anybody how to live their life or what to do. That's not what we're about. What we're about is giving everyone a platform to create the new world that they want, rather than going into the new world order that we're being forced into.
Yeah.
We can step outside of this. We can create our own society, our own reality. But here in Australia, look what Graham said about the other countries that are involved. We are having talks with many. New Zealand, I've got a meeting with several organisers coming up within the next week. They're very interested in doing the same thing there. A lot of the Maori people over there love the concept, and it looks like they could actually. They've got a much smaller population. I think they're 4.59 million people. So it's about 2.5 million people over there. That's easy to get to than the numbers that we have to look here, which are between 8 and 9 million. We don't necessarily have to have them all on the platform of the QMS. We've actually got other ways that we could bring forth that referendum as well. And that's why I mentioned the money before, because if we could get the funding to do it, we've got a concept that we could roll with pretty quickly. It's just, it will require a lot of marketing and a lot of promotional material to be made up very quickly. And until a lot of the T's crossed, which I know Karen and I have been working on documentation together. Karen, it works on that stuff like all the time. Once we've got that ready to go, because really all I ever did was create a concept, a core document that this is all sprung forth from. So in order to get it to the next level, and that next level is going out to the masses, and then once we're going to the masses, why can't we hold a referendum at the same time? And that's about as much as I'm going to drop on you on that at the moment, right? But there are some options that we're looking at the moment. But of course, we're financially, I guess, blocked from doing that without that funding. Before someone mentioned Clive Palmer, I've rung him a couple of times on the number I've been given. So far, he hasn't got back to me, and I haven't got that far. If I could get to somebody like Clive, have a word to him and tell him what this idea is that I don't want to make public completely at this point in time. It's something that, again, we might be able to do it very quickly, but it comes down to the money, it comes down to the people's ability, and then we need the membership to engage as well as part of that at that point. But again, I'll tell everyone about that once we've sorted out the stuff in the back end to make sure that we can actually get there, because there's no point in filling people with false hope and false promises. We don't want to be part of doing that. We can give you hope in that we've got a system to unhook ourselves with, and the more people that come on, the stronger that system becomes. So the more people that come in, the safer we all become too, because I mean, at the moment, Graham, myself and Karen have got our necks on the chopping block event if anyone comes knocking. And, you know, the more support we can garner there, the more people that come on board, you know, the louder our voice becomes. So, and if everyone's out there talking and sharing and spreading the news, then we will get there in no time at all. So regardless of the other options that we've got, we can still do it, even just on having discussions and networking, talking to our friends and family. 6 degrees of separation, where if everyone went out that's a member now and spoke to that 5 people within 3 or 4 days, we would be at referendum point and have the membership we need, right? That's if they, everyone day that learned new went out the following day and spoke to 5 more. So we're a lot closer than it feels, but at the same time, it's still got a long way to go. So the actual truth of it is, it's as quick as the people of Australia want to make this happen, it'll happen. So
I have every faith in that. It's definitely going to happen. It has to happen. It's got to happen.
with beautiful people around us like you guys and Graham and Karen and Penny and Matt and Leith and Andy. I'm not sure if Andy made it into the meeting tonight. He did let me know he was at another meeting where he was talking to a big group. All of the people that have come in and joined in and started working together, Jackie and everyone else. I mean, like, that's the first start. We're unifying, right? So the next stage is to unify our movement as much as we can, which is what we're working on with the Australia Project and other people. And then if we can get to a stage where we've got the numbers there, then it's step out into the masses. So we're doing it in stages. We're trying to do it properly, and we're trying to do it so that we don't land anyone in hot water in any way, shape or form, or get anyone, because that's really important to us too. We don't want people putting their necks on the line. We've all got families, we've all got people who love us and care about us. We've got to protect them as best we can. We need to protect ourselves. And obviously moving into something like this, you know, it's for us in the steering committee, we're constantly learning new things. We're constantly seeing new things. We're hearing from the people, new ideas come forth. It's been an absolutely amazing time. It can be a stressful time. It can be a time of a lot of hard work. But honestly, just seeing people come together finally and actually starting to work on something like this together, I mean, I'm so honoured. I really am. And I'm honoured that all of you guys are here. I thank you all. Graham wants to add to that, I think.
Yeah, just Graham, it's 9:10. We've got one more question, mate, I think, or 3 more.
There's 2 in there, so I'll bring, first of all, James. James, if you'd like to unmute yourself, mate.
Yes. Just quickly, your goal is to get the majority of Australians on board, right?
Yes.
I've been talking to people who don't trust the government, but they don't want the Australian people. They want the United Nations or an international organisation to take over.
They may not be aware that there's another option that, I mean, and like this option, it's Australian based at what we're doing, but we are offering the same thing to the world, but individual memberships for each country. So each country will have sovereign control and sovereign right over their own way of life, their culture, the rest of all of the rules that they live under. So whereas obviously the WO has the concept that everyone's going to live under one set of rules. Yeah, good luck with that. And you're not taking our land, you're not taking our country away from us or our will.
Just on that too, I don't know whether you're aware, but the UN has been our trustee since the 1930s. So the UN is not our friend. They are our enemy because they are the ones that want the globalisation. They want a one world government. They want a one world currency. And those people who think the UN are going to save them, they've probably not done any meaningful research to find out exactly who runs the UN at the moment. And it certainly isn't United Nations. It's one nation, and that is the New World Order. Yeah. So you can tell them, and you can point them to us because I'm quite happy to explain how that happened. And the ebook from Dick Yardley has all that information and documented evidence in it as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, nobody wants a totalitarian regime ruling the world or their country at any level. I mean, people escape those and come here. I mean, it's just crazy. So anyway, we've got one last question. I'm going to just go to Ginny now, and we'll make Ginny's the last one. So we'll, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to email them through to us. Jimmy, if you'd like to unmute yourself, please, mate. You there, Jimmy?
Yeah, you got me now?
Yeah, good day, mate. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm really loving what you guys are doing. I've been following it for a while.
Thank you.
I've mentioned it to someone the other day, and I've talked to a few people about it, and it's something that's been in the back of my mind. If we can somehow get this to go ahead, it does sound feasible and does sound great. But somebody did mention before that Australia is a bit of a testing ground for what's happening with the New World Order. What's to stop someone like the UN or someone with a lot of money, and we know how many of those people there are, from coming over and forming a new government?
We are. The will of the people are. And the QMS, we've got it for you.
Can I take that? Look, what's stopping them? Absolutely nothing. But you've got to remember that at the moment, the people have no power whatsoever. All right. Once we get the country back, then we have our military, and we got a bloody good military. And you know, I'm ex-military, so I know that that we have a lot of people in the military that are itching for us to get back control because they want to kick all these assholes out of our country, and that's a fact. And we also have allies, and you know, our military don't. It's not just the top brass. You've got to remember the rank and file have got friends in military all over this planet. You know, when they want to do war games in this world, where do they come? They come to the Australians because we're the best at it. Now, you know, you've got your special forces and your elite Marines and all that sort of stuff in the States, but they all come here to fight with the Aussies because they know the Aussies never give in and never give up. And that's the Anzac spirit that we have. And so if we have to fight for this country, I can tell you, I'm 66, I'll put the uniform back on.
Yeah,
no problem.
A lot of us.
And there's so many of our veterans out there from all the different wars. I mean, obviously the really older guys, you know, would probably be quite happy to sit in the war room and direct the troops, but we're not giving up, mate. We're not going anywhere. And that's why the UN is testing it here, because they know if they can get it across the line here, they can get it across the line anywhere. So we push back, and we push back hard, then they'll run away with their tails between their legs. We know that. And if they don't, we'll help them.
If you know the hearts, so if you know about the art of war, they try and win the hearts and minds of the people first, right? Now that's what we're doing. Okay, so preferably we don't need to go to battle. If you can win a war without ever firing a shot, that's the best way to do it. So we're not at war with anyone in this country at all, but we are at war with the elite, and we know that. So the people who control the puppets that control us, so we can cut their strings by taking the puppets out of the picture by switching to an alternate system. So we don't need to be controlled. We can control ourselves. If we're educated and if we've got a transparent system, we've got all the tools at hand that we need. And that's what we're working on doing, is creating those processes that we can do that. Look, at the end of the day, if anyone tries to walk into our country, the military operates under our constitution, so they will defend us. And they've already told us that they will not turn a weapon on an Australian, they said citizen, we don't agree with that word, but they won't turn their weapons on an Australian person. So we hope they stay true to that, and we hope that that goes for all of them. I would like to believe that they really have the people of the country's best interests at heart, but not the politicians. But that is the feedback we've had. So we have to go with that. And look, once the will of the people switches to the QMS, so will the military. So we'll have our protection, and that's what we're doing. The sooner we can get the numbers, the sooner this all ends, the sooner we have our country, and the sooner these bastards can't be corrupt, steal, lie, or do any of the rest of it. I don't want to get too into that because it's a pretty negative vibey sort of place to go. And I'm all about providing a solution. Okay, so that's where we've all got to stay focused now, is we can live in fear paradigms, we can stay in fear, but we won't achieve anything with fear. We've had enough pain, we've learned. The way to move forward now is with action through things like the QMS that are peaceful, lawful, and constitutional. If we do it this way, we're safe, we're protected, and we can have our country really, really quickly. And that's probably not a bad note to end the meeting. So I'd like to say thank everyone for coming. It's you know, we've gone a little bit over again, and we do try to keep it to the meeting, but I'm not very good at that part of it, to the time, but I'm not great at that part of it. We understand there's a lot of questions that need to be asked along the way. We're doing our best to get to everyone and answer them, and we ask that everybody share this video. It'll be out within the next day or two. Speak to your friends, invite them to our site, get them to check us out. If they need to, they can get in contact with me. If you've got groups, obviously a lot of people are getting in contact with me, so it can take a while to get back, but if you've got groups, we can organise meetings and discussions with them to explain it better. We can be contacted through info@qms.org, or you can get on the website, and there's ways that you can connect us through there or other forms of social media. Any of us will get the message through, so you could send the message to Matt, Penny, Leith, Karen, myself, Graham, Andy, I think it's Andy Legg on Facebook. There's heaps of people that we're all working in the same direction. So Hakara, I actually saw Hakara come in earlier. I'm not sure if you're there and if you wanted to say anything while you were there, Hakara, before we close.
No, I'm good. I'm just in the background listening, working, you know.
Always, and appreciate your input. So, I mean, Hakra also works on our law team, language expert, and has studied under Russell J. Gould. So she's got a lot of interesting things that she brings in as well.
I will say one thing, Graham, which I did add into the chat. Now, as a part of everyone's learning curve, I don't know if it's been discussed previously, is being aware of the David Walter document. I did put the website in. I've got all the documents from David. So this is a document every Australian should read. It's a document, if you have an opportunity to send it to police, ambulance, doctors, government officials, councils, everyone should read this document, okay? It's 120 pages. It's pretty long. I've done a couple of reviews on YouTube for it, but there's a load of documents there. I can pop it back into chat again. I've got all the links all set up on a page that people can just download. So maybe I'll pop that back in again. So there's something that everyone should be aware of in a part of your learning curve to understanding why the QMS is so important and where it actually fits in with everything, with what's going on.
So, all right. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to close the meeting now. And, yeah, if you could pop that in the chat and also send it through to us, we can email it out to people as well. And we'll have a look on our lawful legal assistance page. We do have quite a lot of documents starting to compile on there, and there is information that can help people with a lot of the current issues that you're facing. So Jackie Dundee and Graham and several other people have contributed quite a lot to go in there, and there's more coming. So we're trying to add to it. There's a lot to do. We're working on it, and things do back up, but we are doing our best. So Karen could probably, if anybody wants to help out with admin, you could even contact her, and I'm sure she could assign some tasks to you too, because even just replying to all the emails on the website, I know that Karen spent in some cases full days trying to get through those, and we still get buried in them. So
what I can do is just send all those documents over to Karen, and then we'll pop them up on the QMS. I thought there was probably enough stuff up there as it was. But,
cool, perfect. That'd be awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Hakara. And as always, mate, love your work. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. We really do appreciate you coming, and we appreciate that you're following what we're doing. If you feel you can contribute, with mention, get in contact with us, info@theqms.org. Jump on the website. If you're not already a member, get on there and become a member. Because honestly, it's only in unity that we'll come through this cleanly, safely, and together. If we're not working in unity, if we are working opposing each other, we haven't got a chance. And already we've got nearly 7,000 people wanting this. Right, let's keep building. Let's get that 10,000. Let's get 100,000. Let's get 1 million. Let's get to 8 million. And then we're there. And honestly, it sounds like big numbers, but if you've worked in business and you've seen how things, the first million will be our hardest. Hit that and things will become easy from there. Not only that, we've got options once we get there too. All right, so, and we will keep working in the background, bringing forth new ways. And when we're ready, we'll put forth a couple very soon that I think you guys are going to love. So we just need to really make sure they're right before we bring them out, because we don't want to sort of give anyone a bum steer or false hope, as I've mentioned earlier. All right, I'm getting tired too. I think you can hear my voice is starting to croak. It's a pretty big thing, sort of running these things. You spend a lot of time talking and probably too much, as some people have told me, but thank you again. Love you all, and look forward to seeing you. We'll run this meeting again next week. We may change times in the next few weeks. That's something that's been proposed because we're trying to find a time slot where we're not crossing over with other meetings that people want to be in. And at the moment, while people are still getting to know about what we're building and what we're doing, obviously people are following their own direction. So we have no problem with people doing that. We just want to get in front of everyone and just so they know. And if they align, we want them on board. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night. And we'll see you next week. And please, if you need to contact us, you've got the means to do that now. Thank you. Bye-bye. And again, thank you to the influencers and the people and organisers and Karen and everybody else who's been in the background making this happen. Thank you.